Hi, this is Arthur, and this is a summary of the story of the World Quest Book of Esoteric Revelations released in Genshin Impact version 4.0. The traveler is walking around Merusi village when she meets Kanotila. Kanotila tells him about a secret base left by a great scholar long ago where there is a book she cannot understand. They head over, and as the traveler tries to read the book, she is momentarily transported to another place. The group determines that pages are missing from the book. The pages depict past events, and the book names certain places where the missing pages are. The traveler then searches for and retrieves these missing pages. After adding them to the book in the secret base, the traveler meditates on the book, and the following is revealed. On the first page, the author talks about the natural rise and fall of civilizations. From these fallen civilizations, a new one will rise, referred to as Fortuna. The author talks about a world formula calculation that predicts the end to new civilizations. The author determines that new variables are needed to avoid this end. A magical technique that might help avoid this end is something called the Seal of Chemical Marriage, left by a past organization known as the Golden Troop. On page 2, the author speaks of a trip into the great beast Elenos. The damage and pollution caused by Elenos has mostly subsided, but Elenos' corpse seems to retain Elenos' will. The author also mentions Alan, Marianne, and Jacob, who all grew up in the Narcissan Cruz Institute. Jacob has seemingly ingested some of Elenos' flesh, and it is changing him. This is kept secret from Alan and Marianne. On the third page, the author says that Jacob continued eating the blood and flesh of Elenos. Jacob seems to be gaining abilities like not having to eat at all. The author also says they successfully opened a beastly rift where rift hounds poured through. Jacob defeats the Rift Hounds, and the author notes that the Rift Hounds and the Beastly Rift are similar to the one in Sumeru and possess similar properties to Elenos. The Conrians have also opened Beastly Rifts before. Just then, the traveler is transported to a mysterious place. The traveler hears voices talk about the birthing waters of the world drying up and civilization ending. The voices also talk about creating the Book of Revealing, which will show readers the same premonitions the authors experienced. Side note, the book the traveler is currently reading is likely the Book of Revealing. The traveler then wakes up and Paimon and Kanotila decide to join in and meditate on the book together. They meditate and Paimon and the traveler are transported to ruins floating in a void. They see Kanotila a bit away and chase after her. Along the way they find notes discussing the great cataclysm predicted by the world formula. They also find a rift hound that turns into a dog. The dog leads them to a portal that transports them to the real world where they find Kanotila. Kanotila says that she was sent to a beautiful garden, not the floating ruins. They conclude that the visions they saw were likely visions of the future predicted by the author. They also conclude that both the beautiful garden and the floating ruins were possible futures and that the future is not set in stone. At this point, players can read the rest of the pages if they've collected them and add them to the Book of Revealing. In the fourth page, the author talks about Alan, Jacob, Carl, Carter, and Marianne. The author seems to be Alan's assistant at the Institute of Natural Philosophy. They all seem to work at the Institute, and the author seems intent on trying to avoid the coming apocalypse. On page 5, the author discovers that the red stones from Dragonspine, filth from the chasm, and the flesh of Elenos are all similar. They are all toxic to humans. The only people capable of withstanding the toxins are people like Jacob who have undergone a transformation. Carter has seemingly gone through a similar process as Jacob, but he is not getting stronger and is deteriorating instead. The author has also tricked members of the Institute into believing in their cause and forms a secret society that follow him. Side note, the secret society is likely the Narcissan Cruz Ordo. On page 6, the author talks about a town named Petrichor, some ruins, and of humans transcending. On page 7, the author discusses a trip to Sumeru with Jacob and Carl. On page 8, the author talks about Jacob and his secret society. The author is trying to locate an ancient seal, something called the Circle of Four Orthants, and the Tree of Emanation. On page 9, the author says he has grown powerful and has nearly completed construction on the Four Orthants. The author plans on helping all Fontanians transcend their physical forms and preventing the apocalypse. The author will use themselves as the first test subject and test the process to be reborn through water. There is currently no page 10. Page 11 is hard to understand but does mention sending Lyris and Jacob somewhere. On page 12, the author says they absorbed 3 people and their memories. They also say the Court of Fontaine opposes the Ordo. Alon has declined joining the author, and along with Marianne are now enemies of the author. Side note, Alon's full name is Alon Guillotine, and is reportedly said to be a genius on machines through all pages in the Book of Revealing. Page 13 is the final page and says they went to Elenos to carry out orders. The last line wishes they meet again in the new universe and the pure sea of tranquility. And that is the end of this quest in this video. If you've liked what you've seen here, please like, comment, and subscribe.